Overseas now, and Donald Trump has become the first former American president ever to be criminally charged. This week, he pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records. So what comes next for him and his defence team? Joining me now live is Dean of Global Futures at Curtin University, Professor Joe Siracusa. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. How much trouble is Donald Trump in here? And realistically, what are his chances now for 2024?
Danica, good to see you too. Look, he's in a world of trouble. These charges, which are very weak, bootstrapped misdemeanors to felonies. Essentially, he covered up paying his girlfriend with cooking the books at the company. It's hardly startling, but he got caught at it. So everybody who wants to get Donald Trump is going at him. He didn't know what to do. As you saw him in that courtroom, he looked like he was under sedatives. So he was going kind of crazy. And then a couple hours later at Lago, he told us exactly what he was thinking. He thought the judge was crooked. He thought the Manhattan DA was crooked. He did everything he wasn't supposed to do. And of course, there's going to be enormous pressure on the judge to hit him with contempt, which is a $1,000 fine, which is a drop in the bucket for this guy, plus 30 days in jail. So, and of course, if Trump keeps going on the way he does, the prosecutor can then lay one more charge against him, obstruction of justice, which makes the case even more serious. Look, I don't know if this case is going to go very far, but it's certainly going to consume things up till December. The president's lawyers are going to be able to file a number of motions. They're going to try to look at the statute of limitations, maybe move the venue. They have all kinds of questions about this thing, whether the validity of moving a misdemeanor to a felony is actually legal or makes sense in this case. And the whole time, you wouldn't know that Donald Trump hasn't stopped running for president. As soon as he began the proceedings here, the arraignment, his stock went up. That is, he started getting more donations for his presidential campaign. And he started getting more supporters. Even Mitt Romney came out and said the charges against him are a little on the fishy side. So I think he's pretty much wrapped up the Republican nomination. No one can touch him. And if I were running against him, I'd hold off till 2028 because right now it looks like he has the commanding heights. How's this going to turn out? We really don't know. But I'll tell you what, we all like a great Shakespearean play. And Donald Trump's fall has been Shakespearean. You know, when you saw the door slammed in his face as he went into the courtroom, remember no one held the door? This guy was the most powerful man on earth on the planet a couple of years ago, and no one's going to hold the door open for the former chief executive of the United States. I thought that was an extraordinary thing here. But this is a New York bun fight. You know, they're gonna fight out. The president's in for more serious charges in other places. But look, this is, you know, also an extraordinary week. I mean, the Speaker of the House had tea in California with the president of Taiwan, despite the very bright red lines over Taiwan. So the Chinese will be dumping up and down there. And we also have the president of the United States, Biden, releasing a report, after action report, saying that the debacle at the Afghan airport was all Trump's fault because he prepared the ground badly, which is ridiculous. I mean, just more incompetence there.
Yeah.
I think the really big news here is well, what are we going to do about a couple things? You know, this package you had on Israel and Hamas is a big deal because it's going to lead to other things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, let's talk about the Taiwanese president meeting with the US House Speaker Kevin McCarthy this week. We know that Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, I believe it was last year, and that certainly didn't go down well. So what sort of a message do you believe that this is going to send to China?
Well, what it says in China is that they don't really care. I mean, even the president of Taiwan probably waved off a McCarthy visit to Taiwan, to Taipei. You know, she agreed to meet him for tea. Keep in mind that the former leader of Taiwan, the head of the Kuomintang, was being wined and dined in 5 cities in China while all this is going on. He presented himself as the party of peace. And as we read this morning in the paper, we got Chinese warships close to hand. I mean, China doesn't really want to go to war over Taiwan, but we don't seem to care if we keep pushing them and pushing them. You know, what we really should be worrying about is a little more about Russia. I mean, Russia is the real threat. And the other news item today or yesterday was Zelensky gave an interview to the Associated Press in which he said that he thinks that the Bakhmut defenses may be falling. There'll be 80,000 Ukrainian soldiers killed, and he may be forced to go to the negotiating table with President Putin. And what he's saying is that the war may be over very quickly. So people in Washington are going to have to concentrate or focus between the president, former president of the United States, under the gun, and the incredible developments going on in the world. You know, Taiwan is a hot spot, a flashing point, and we got what's happening in Ukraine is a flashing point because Russia's made it very clear that they are prepared to go to war if we stick our noses any further into it. And then we've got you know, the president of the United States has to decide how to move forward while he's looking over his shoulder at Donald Trump, who's you know, Donald Trump's sort of like, you know, the great story about the rabbit and the hare. He's one of these guys who just keeps lumbering along, and you know, he won the race last time when the odds were about 12-1 against him, and so I think Biden's going to have to worry about him. At the same time, should Americans be worried? Yes, they should be worried, and for a whole lot of things in terms of the economy, inflation, and the rest of it.
All right.
So it's been a very, very tense week, a very, very busy business week, a big week in television and news. And I'll tell you what, you know, just keep watching this space because it's all going to get very interesting quickly.
Oh, it certainly is if it hasn't already. Joe Siracusa, we've got to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.